The mail-in election to decide downtown streetcars is underway. We push aside our reporters this week to debate the project with supporters and opponents. Plus, Jackson County Executive Mike Sanders says it's next year or never for his $1 billion commuter rail plan. Could you soon be heading to the polls to decide that issue? Mike Sanders also joins us this half hour on Week in Review. Hello again, I'm Nick Haynes. You're probably fed up of elections already, so it may be a surprise to some of you to know that there is another election going on right now at this moment. It's the election to decide whether or not Kansas City should build a 2-mile downtown streetcar line. The reason it may have slipped your mind is that even if you live in Kansas City, Missouri, you're most likely not one of those who got a chance to vote. Only those who live in a specially set up transportation district around the proposed route get a say, and it's a mail-in ballot. 697 voters requested ballots that must be returned by December 11th. That represents about 20% of the voters in the transportation district, which follows the proposed route from Union Station to the River Market. The cost of the project, by the way, is $100 million. Backers say, if approved, 4 streetcars could be running up and down this route starting in 2015 from 6 in the morning until midnight, later on weekends. It would be paid for by a 1-cent sales tax hike on purchases in the specially set up transportation district, along with hikes in the residential and commercial property taxes. For example, according to the Kansas City Star, the owner of a $200,000 condo could expect to pay $266 more a year. Now, that's a price worth paying given the benefits that this service will provide. A more vibrant downtown, says the streetcar's backers, Kitty McCoy and Kite Singleton, the executive director and chair of the Kansas City Regional Transit Alliance. Unconvinced, though, is a familiar face to us, Crosby Kemper III, who today is representing the Show Me Institute, in which he is chairman, and Jeff Stretch Ruhlmaner, a former TIF commissioner whose pocketbook would be pinched by the streetcar project. His 2 restaurants, Grinders and Grinders West, are inside the special transportation district. And your objection to this, Crosby Kemper, is what?
Well, let's start with the election. Of course, this is designed by Councilman Johnson and others to have a positive vote. It will be the smallest number of voters committing the largest amount of money in the history of Kansas City. The voters of Kansas City as a whole, of course, have consistently rejected light rail. And so now we're going to get a mail-in vote. We had 300 people in the first vote for this and commit. What actually the total is in the original proposal to the feds for this is $168 million. It'll be substantially more if we're going to pay for the entire operating expense. That's another $3.4 million a year. So we're talking about something close to $200 million that 300 to 400 people will commit the city to, including committing other taxpayer money. It's not just the money that's coming from the property tax and the sales tax downtown and in the Crossroads. And speaking as I said to my landlord, I live in the Crossroads, I said, you're going to commit to me. He was urging me to vote for it. And I said, okay, are you going to guarantee that you're not going to raise my rent, the 10%, that you're going to see your taxes raised? I didn't get a response to that. This is going to make life in the Crossroads and downtown much more expensive. We're going to have the highest economic activity taxes of any city in our region, any downtown in our region. And it's going to have been committed by a very small number of people. Also, the cost of this is the highest cost per mile of any light rail project in the United States, highest cost per mile, and we'll have the lowest ridership. Now, the first is a fact. The second is my prediction. We'll have the lowest ridership per mile of any light rail project in the United States.
Okay, before we get the stretch, how do you respond to that then, Kitty?
Studies have shown in multiple cities that on an initial streetcar line, ridership projections outdistance by big margins what the studies have said that would be. So I think that I disagree. I think ridership is going to be huge. I think that it is a symbol for all of Kansas City, even though it's only that 2 miles. I think all of Kansas City will benefit from it. It's going to be, everyone's going to take advantage of it, just like they do all of our cultural assets. I have a little bit of an issue about the cost. I do not believe that the cost projections that Crosby mentioned are correct, and that's what I have to say.
Kite.
You know, every city that has started on enhanced public transportation has gone through this effort to get through the barricade of people's lack of understanding in a particular city. So you look at Dallas, you look at Denver, you look at the other places that have started. They've all said, well, we're different. We'll never do this. It's not the right thing to do for us. And then when the proposition is passed and the system is put in place, everybody starts to want to tag on to it. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Okay, well, Stretch, you have 2 restaurants that you would think you would benefit from this because you are going to be right next to the streetcar line. Wouldn't your restaurants benefit from more people riding for free on these streetcars?
I would love to say yes, but I don't even get to vote on it. And that's a huge problem I have. Even though my businesses and the properties I have there, I don't get to vote on it. And the majority of the people that are voting on this 400-some people, are tenants. Once those rents get jacked up, they're going to move on. And my guess is by 2015, half those people that are in that downtown corridor voting on it now aren't even going to live there. I just don't find it ethical to vote and have someone that doesn't own property vote why my taxes have to go up. Would my restaurants benefit? My restaurants would benefit with one-way streets, synchronized traffic lights, HOV lanes, new street, lighting, and all sorts of gutters and streets. Infrastructure is what this town needs. And the big problem I have with this whole thing is they keep talking about development along this corridor, this 2-mile corridor. If there are incentives, great. Now we lose those tax monies and TIF funds because you have to give incentives to this. The problem is codes in this town are going to hold up all that progress. You can change this and do all this stuff over here, but if you don't change what is already in action, it's not going to merge.
Kite.
Nick, the naysayers in this town have been saying the same thing that Crosby and Stretch are saying for a long time. That's why we haven't passed anything. They all say it's not going to happen. Every one of our sister cities has seen the same kinds of explosion of development and interest and population. So I don't see people going away because their rents rise a little bit. Of course they will. That's normal. When you see a more attractive place, you have more people looking. Right now, the occupancy rate in downtown among the apartments is about 98 or 99%. There's a desire to live here, and that's been in great part because of the investments that started under Kay Barnes and have continued to today. There's a huge interest, and it's that way all over the country. People want to move to an urban center where things are happening. And the streetcar is just another very important aspect. And this is only the first piece. There's going to be extensions to the streetcar, and they're going to start right away. Mark has already applied for alternatives analysis funding. They haven't got it yet, but that's going to continue, and we're going to see this thing expand. North Kansas City already has a tax potential in place. They're not collecting the tax yet, but they will go after this and try to get the streetcar to go across the bridge to North Kansas City.
So your arguments then, Crosby, that's why nothing gets done, because it's always about the money, and that's what keeps this community from being held back, unlike those other communities in the country who are willing to take a chance and move something forward.
Well, I'm in favor of putting lots of investment into the central city and improving the cultural amenities. A lot of what we've done, of course, in improving cultural amenities has been done with private money, like the Performing Arts Center. This is done exclusively with public money, local public money. And I dispute the benefits from this. Many of our sister cities that are advancing much faster from an economic development point of view and as fast as we are culturally don't have light rail. That's one of the myths that's been put out by the political class in this community, but that's simply not true. There are lots of cities that don't have light rail. The cities that do have light rail are not developing faster than we are, but they have the one city in our region that has higher tax per capita than we do. We have the highest tax per capita of all cities in our region, with one exception, Denver. And the only reason Denver has higher is because they've spent $5 billion on light rail. And the voters have gotten a little unhappy about that, so they haven't extended the rail system in Denver recently because the voters are a little tired of the taxes that they're paying for this. So the question is, what real benefit do we get out of this? It is a cultural amenity. I agree with that. There'll be a few more tourists and a few more 20-somethings who will move into the downtown area, but the rents will go up, so the 20-somethings won't really be able to afford to live here, so they'll be pushed out to some other area. So who's actually going to use it? Well, lawyers will use it to take clients to lunch at Crown Center if they're working downtown. Lawyers at Crown Center will use it to take their clients to lunch in the Power and Light District. I'm not sure who else will actually use it.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, who will use it? Who is the audience for this? This is going to be a free ride. We've talked about this, Kitty.
Nick, I have to, I'm sorry for
please.
interrupting, but I have to counter what Crosby said about Denver. Denver started on this in the mid-'80s. They made a 1-mile plan. And that started a whole interest in light rail, and they did about 2 or 3 lines. 2 years ago, the voters of Denver voted $3 billion to extend what they had been doing. So there's no hesitance on the part of the voters in Denver to tax themselves. $3 billion I'm talking about, not millions.
They were going to put it on the ballot this year.
Let Kite finish. Let Kite finish.
Well, that's basically what I wanted to say. The voters of Denver are very excited about what their transit investments have done for them, to the extent they want to do more.
Okay.
Denver is very walkability too. I mean, Kansas City is not very walkable, and I'm curious how many voters actually got in on that. We already have our $10 million debt every year with P&L.
But isn't the plan here to make Kansas City more walkable?
Absolutely.
And isn't this part of what
Denver downtown in 1985 was a disaster. The hotels were flop houses. There were trucks that motored overnight because that was the only place that they could find to stay overnight because it was so cheap. The property owners on 16th Street decided they needed to do something about their downtown, and they coughed up the money to do that initial 1-mile line. That was the start of the whole thing, 1985, and today Denver is an explosion of interest and walkability. We have we're starting walkability in downtown Kansas City thanks to the investments we've made, and this will make it even more so.
Okay, Crosby.
The comeback of Denver, when I was a banker at UMB, we had a bank in Denver, and I saw exactly what Kite saw in Denver, which of course actually lasted into the 90s, well after the trolley was up. The trolley didn't have anything to bring to do with bringing back downtown Denver. Their version of the Power and Light District is what brought it back. There's no evidence, and in fact there are lots of studies. Economists at Berkeley, the St. Louis Fed, the World Bank. There is in fact no evidence that development is created by light rail, by mass transit. A certain amount of development is shifted from one part of town to the other, very small amount, but there's no actual net addition of economic development based on light rail. And there's study after study that shows this.
But Crosby keeps mentioning light rail, but these are streetcars, and if we can show some more video of these, I mean, these are not on tracks of any kind, are they, Kitty? These are not attached to anything. These are just running on roads.
No.
Tell me about how these actually work.
Streetcars actually are on rails.
They're on rails.
They're
okay.
on rails. Now, you have to dig. If you were going to have light rail, you dig deeper. Okay. So it's a shallower dig, but the tracks are indeed there. So that's one of the differences between streetcars and light rail. They are smaller vehicles than light rail. They are less expensive than light rail. I don't hear a lot about light rail, whereas I hear a lot about streetcars that are being put forth in multiple cities throughout the United States. But I want to go back to the question you asked me earlier, which was who's going to ride this streetcar? Well, I believe everybody who's within walking distance is going to ride the streetcar. I believe people who come downtown to events are going to want to ride the streetcar. And as far as young people are concerned, I listen a lot to what the people are telling us. The people are telling us, first of all, young people consider it an imposition to be told that they must have a car.
Kansas City has done nothing for the small businessman in the crossroads especially. We've done it all ourselves without the help of everybody. By doing this light rail, charging us more, we're going to lose our younger crowd. We're going to have to raise our rents. We got hit with our, 10 years ago, they raised all our property taxes through the roof. And we ended up, everybody had to leave.
How are you going to lose your younger crowd? Can you gain a younger crowd in the downtown area because of streetcars?
You theoretically could. The people still have to get from point A to point B, even if they're on the streetcar. It's a linear, one-lane road. Everything out after that is 4 or 5 blocks. Everything that would be on that little corridor may benefit from that somewhat. We don't have a walkability city. We just built a beautiful museum on a hill with a parking garage. No one's going to walk up those 3 blocks, 4 blocks to get to that performing arts center. Kansas City, Missouri cannot run. They have a hard time running certain things, let's just say that.
Okay. A final,
How can I say that
a
nice?
final word in support of streetcars. You have 20 seconds. Kite.
You have to start somewhere. I've been doing this for 40 years, trying to find a way to get the citizens of Kansas City to recognize what they will gain from having an enhanced public transportation system. And now we've got an opportunity because the Missouri legislature established this transportation development district, and we've taken advantage of that. And it's going to be the start. It's going to be the start of a regional thrust toward public transportation, which is ardently desired by many, many people.
20 seconds, Crosby Kemper.
The voters have rejected light rail over and over again, and this is designed to have the smallest number of people voting. It's very undemocratic. It will be very, very expensive. It will have the lowest ridership because we have no density in Kansas City. The only successful urban mass transit systems are in places where there's high density. This won't create it, and so it will be very, very unsuccessful. From a ridership point of view. It's another thing that's being imposed on the taxpayers, and we're going to end up with the highest tax per capita economic activity taxes and property taxes in the most dynamic and creative part of the city, and that's a huge mistake from an economic development point of view.
Kitty McCoy and Kite Singleton from the Regional Transit Alliance, thank you. Crosby Kemper representing the Show Me Institute today, and restaurateur Stretch, thank you for being with us. December 11th is the date when those mail-in ballots have to be returned. We will know shortly afterward if it's yay or nay on streetcars. While that election is underway, there's a much bigger effort going on to more rapidly expand rail transit in our metro, and you could be voting on it as early as August. Jackson County Executive Mike Sanders says it's next year or never for a ballot issue to fund a Jackson County commuter rail system. He's with us next on Kansas City Week in Review. If you live in Jackson County, you might have already noticed the ads, part of a public education campaign funded by the county, designed to get you thinking about transit, even though as yet there's no question on the ballot or to vote on. But that could soon change.
Imagine taking a train to the game.
Or riding streetcars around town.
Imagine bike paths all over Jackson County.
And better bus routes
throughout the area. Imagine a quick commute from Independence to downtown.
Just imagine what it would do for our students, our lives,
Our economy.
Imagine the possibilities.
Imagine the possibilities. Jackson County Executive Mike Sanders certainly can. He's proposed $1 billion transit plan that would have you riding the rails on 6 routes, all converging on Union Station, going to KCI Airport and connecting eastern Jackson County up to Liberty, Kearney, down south to Lee Summit and Grandview. And you could be voting on this soon. He's with us now. Thank you so much for being with us on Kansas City Week in Review. This is a very ambitious plan.
It is. But if you think about really planning not just for today but the next generation, think about what governments ought to be thinking about today. And I go back to 1930s, 1920s and 30s when Harry Truman was the presiding commissioner of Jackson County. You know, he didn't think about how are we going to just sort of skate through and get by in this recession. He thought big, and he created at that point the largest road system that we still utilize today that really helped create Jackson County. And that's this kind of sort of forward-thinking generational investment or plan. go back to Dwight Eisenhower with the interstate system, that we think could transform our city for generations to come.
Now, how would this all be paid for, though?
Yeah, great question. Now, obviously, you have to have a local match, but what we are going to do, which is what transit systems have done, and frankly, any type of transit system has done all throughout the United States, and that is look in many ways to the federal government. There are federal dollars to match these plans. If you create and generate a plan like this, we think there are going to be federal dollars, whether it's for trails or buses or the rail side. So there will be a local match. Obviously, local taxpayers have to support this. That makes sense. But beyond that, that gives us a chance to access those federal dollars like we've seen Denver do, St. Louis do, Chicago, Dallas, cities all throughout America.
Now, there has been talk in the newspapers at least of a 1% sales tax for the entire county.
That's right, and so that's what's allowable. Now, the Mid-America Regional Council passed a legislation, transit-related legislation, which can do trails, buses, transit, any type of transit. You are allowed to do up to 1 cent, and so that's the maximum that you can do under that. The issue then really becomes, what is it that we're going to do going forward? And by the way, I want to make sure that I emphasize, there's no certitude that this plan is ever going to wind up on a ballot near you, so to speak. We have to reach agreements with the local railroads. I think part of what I think is the intelligence, the plan that the engineers have come up with, and this is a plan that's largely been done by railroad engineers and transit engineers, not politicians, that's being put together, and that is utilizing existing rail tracks so you don't have right-of-ways, easement issues, EPA studies that could lock this up for decades and cost hundreds of millions of dollars. You utilize those existing rail corridors to move people throughout this entire community. So that makes sense. Now, what it takes, though, is agreements with the railroads, with the Union Pacific, with the Kansas City Southern, with the different railroad operators we have here locally. We're very positive about the way those negotiations are going. The KCS is largely inked and done. The Union Pacific are great partners that we have here locally. We've been negotiating with them for a number of months. But I want to emphasize to everybody, those deals have to be inked in advance. We have to have the right service levels at the right price before we'll agree to put this on the ballot.
Now, let's put that map back up on screen here. You know, some of these routes, though, also require you to be going through other people's counties, though. Mr. Sanders, I mean, you're into Kansas City, Kansas in some of these areas. You're going up to KCI Airport. Wouldn't that also involve you going through Platte County?
It does. And, of course, what you've got is, Mayor Joe Reardon's a big supporter of this plan. You talk to the folks in Cass County, big supporters of the plan. At some point, this needs to be regional. You can't just plan a transit plan around Jackson County, even though that's the greatest county in the metropolitan area. Still, regardless, I mean, you have to start thinking about how do we get to the airport.
We're not going to say, oh, this is going to be on the August ballot then in Jackson County.
We're not. I mean, look, and we don't want to do that. This isn't transit at any price. It's got to be transit at the right price for the right price point with the right service level, right? It's not, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead transit. It's got to be done correctly, and it's got to be done right if we're even going to agree to put this on the ballot. Now, when we talk about the term $1 billion, that's not the Jackson County share. It's going to be infinitely less than that, possibly even half. But if you look at the entire system overall, you start to reach into that level. But here's what I want to tell you. National average in terms of what it would cost to construct a system like this is multiple billions of dollars. What we can do in Kansas City, the opportunity we have here locally because of our access to underutilized rail corridors, is do it for infinitely less than any other city can do it for anywhere in the United States. We can literally transform our city, utilizing our railroad partners, frankly, an asset which isn't an asset, which is abandoned or underutilized rail right-of-way, make that an asset which visits almost every major metropolitan area and tourism center we have in this community, and change the way we move, the way we operate overnight. But I want to say this as well. Transit is not just about moving people, it's about job and development. National average tells you, for every dollar invested in rail transit or mass transit, you get $4 in return for an area, for a city. And that's not some ivory tower think tank telling us this. Just look at the example. Look at what's going on in St. Louis or Denver or Portland or Dallas. Look at the areas where there hadn't been development for decades or generations. You put transit in, you put transit stops there, and those areas become oases of development. It really is something that generates jobs, it generates economic development in a way that you don't see with other types of projects. The way Eisenhower did it in the 1950s, remember we had a little recession then, the way that Truman looked at it during the Great Depression. This is exactly that kind of project that I think you ought to be looking at in terms of thinking big about how you grow and plan for the next generation that we ought to be thinking about in this downturn in the economy. How are we going to position Kansas City in this community for the next 20 or 30 years?
We've had a streetcar election going on right now. We just had the debate on this issue. It's a mail-in election. There was a feeling that we couldn't even make this a citywide election. It has never gone through the ballot box process, so it was a mail-in election. We have a lot of concerns in this community, a lot of opposition when there's a light rail vote in Kansas City. How about the opponents to this kind of a measure?
You know what? It's a great question. We haven't really run into major opposition yet. This is very bipartisan. Everyone from Roy Blunt to Claire McCaskill are on board with this plan, right? They've publicly endorsed the plan. You know, Sam Graves has been supportive. Emmanuel Cleaver. I mean, talk about all polar opposite ends: Kansas side, Missouri side. I think this isn't a partisan issue. This is a nonpartisan issue. When you're talking about jobs, growth, economic development, it's neither a D or an R issue. It's just a Kansas City issue. And I'll tell you what else, Nick. We're not going to be the only city to undertake this type of journey and not receive federal dollars in the effort. So this is just a chance where it's Kansas City's turn. You know, we've been paying the federal gasoline tax since the 1950s. We've not received these dollars back. I think it's our turn to bring some of these dollars back.
There was a headline about a week ago saying from you, it's now or never for commuter rail in Jackson County. Why?
And I think that's more of a practical concern. I mean, not that it wouldn't make just as much sense in 14 or 15 or beyond, but I think looking at the changing demographics, the change of the railroad industry, if we don't get deals inked ultimately with the Union Pacific or the KCS sometime in 2013, I'm very pessimistic we'll ever get agreements with the railroads to get this type of plan done. So I think it's 13 or bust, I think, for those types of agreements. Now, if you don't get agreements with the railroads, what's that mean? It means instead of $10 million a mile, you're looking at $100 to $125 million a mile. And to be very honest, Nick, that's completely out of the price point for Kansas City. The plan you just showed, I mean, if you think about $1 billion or $1.2 or $1.3 billion to do that, well, let's start talking about $6-7 billion. It's out of the question with our population density that could ever be accomplished. So that type of transformative plan necessitates a public-private partnership with the railroads to get that done. If we don't get that done, I think it's unrealistic to think that we'll ever get it done. 13's the year. Not that it couldn't theoretically be done in 14, but I just think now's the time. I think we're very close to getting this done. If something queers that deal, I don't see 14 being any more optimistic.
Well, we'll be watching and potentially debating that plan in 2013.
That would be great. I hope we are.
Jackson County Executive Mike Sanders, thanks for being with us on Week in Review. And that is it for this week's program. I'm Nick Haynes. From all of us here at KCPT, thanks for spending part of your weekend with us.